That was a fun game.
That's going. Okay. Then I just gotta do this. This is Pass Interrupt.
I'm not here to present stats. I'm just here to present vibes.
Rhino Pills and Kyrie Irving.
This is Pass Interrupt. And we
We're
are
about it every
back.
day.
We'll just go ahead and hand this thing right off to Caesar so we can get right into some football.
Some football. All right, y'all. As you know, the formula is we start the football segment with recapping the games that were. The Vikings were on a bye week, so we're just going to be reviewing the Cowboys and the Eagles games on this one to start things off in order. Cowboys versus Seahawks. Gentlemen, as you saw, I have the rundown as this is equal to Texas versus Washington because I think this is the type of game that they're going to produce, which is an absolute shootout ending in favor of the team from the Lone Star State. Now let's talk about Cowboys and Seahawks shootout. Like I said, very fun game all the way around. This was a battle of two explosive offenses. Bethke, I know you were probably loving what you saw from Dak, what you saw from CeeDee Lamb. I know I objectively, I liked it on paper. I'm just in a vacuum like, yo, this guy's cooking. Like, this is, if there was ever a game to point this season for his MVP candidacy, this would be the one because he was attacking deep down the field. He was completing the passes. And you know what? As soon I felt like I accidentally jinxed Deron Bland because I was like, yeah, he's up there for, defensive player of the year. It's getting absolutely cooked by DK Metcalf. But you did bring up a good point when we were previewing the game. You had concerns about his athleticism going up against DK. And it kind of proved to be, a genuine concern in that matchup. But he made up for it with an interception, a key interception to keep the Seahawks from getting on the board. If you were watching this game, this was not a game for anybody who loves themselves some good, strong defenses. However, the Cowboys defense made the plays when it mattered at the end. I have absolutely no idea why the Seahawks, and I think, Patrick, it was you who shared this with me or with us in our Twitter chat. But Benjamin Solak showed a play or showed us like what the concept was behind leaving Micah Parsons unblocked. A terrible idea, terrible execution in general. Even if the play worked the way you wanted to, I don't believe that Micah Parsons doesn't affect that play one way or another in a way that benefits the Cowboys.
You probably don't want to run that play with your third or fourth string running back at that point.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, right? And they did it. I don't know why you would do that. Like, I think they were just overthinking the situation. And what happens? The Dallas Cowboys come away with a win. Now, I'm going to say this about the quarterback play. All right, I gave my flowers to Dak. I'm still going to give some flowers to Dak later on when we preview his game this week. But Geno Smith, for the first 3 quarters, that man was on a heater. Absolutely went just nuts, throwing the ball down the field, taking advantage of his the receivers' athleticism, their size, their speed. But he shrunk in the fourth quarter. Looked like the Geno Smith that everybody makes fun of. First 3 quarters was the Geno Smith that everybody was loving last season. And he came up short. And this is why the Seahawks are where they are, 6-6. And then, as I said earlier, Dak Prescott's performance throughout the entirety of the game is why he is where he is in terms of having the Cowboys at 9-3. He presenting every possible argument for why he should be in the discussion for MVP. So that's what we take away from that game. Bethke, do you have any thoughts from this game at all?
You did a great job of recapping it. Some of the things that I think that I want to add are it was a great flag tossing contest from the officials. Great job for the NFL. I used to really think this was just a Dallas Cowboy thing, and now I realize that everybody just suffers through these flag throwing contests these days. And penalties are just made up on the spot, and sometimes they apply, sometimes they don't. That was funny. Mike McCarthy got very lucky towards the end of that game. Bailed out by probably a goofier situation on the other side. And then ultimately, the funniest part about Dak and CD's nights is that you could argue it was their best night together. Maybe not statistically, but it felt like they were the most connected I've ever seen. And CD dropped the best ball Dak threw, or the toughest ball that they had. He just dropped it. And so that was kind of fun, especially because CD was able to make up for that drop quickly, and he did. So, also just a great little CD Lamb piece that they did. You know, you love the little journalism hits that they'll do in these primetime games where they'll sit down with the guy and you get a little bit more about them. And I guess I've never really understood how I felt confident CD Lamb is both a pretty boy and about his business. And it's truly one of those best combinations that you can't be more thankful for when you're a fan, because like you can get the pretty boys and you can get the about their business guys. You'll always get the mix. And that's the perfect position to have the pretty boy that kind of get. I mean, he had a little pouty fit early in the season, whatever, on the sideline.
If it's not your quarterback, that's probably the next best one.
Yeah. And so it's nice to have CD the way he is. He feels like a successor to Michael Irvin a little bit in a way, not in the bad ways, but just in that fucking just maniac. I'm a football player first kind of thing. So I appreciate that about him. Dak, there's nothing but great things to say. Everyone's highlighted them a million times. This was a nice defense to go up against. They're not perfect, but it's nice to make Jamal Adams look stupid because he's kind of a brick. And I think the only thing really left for me with Dak at this point throughout this season is the pocket awareness. And it feels like that's still incrementally just better every week. This week, I thought there was many, many, many times where he was about to take some dumb sacks and he didn't. He got out of it, or there's a couple, or at least he fucking got forward by the time that he's getting sacked. Those things.
It helps that his offensive line's good too. You know,
the health of the offensive line matters. Yes, but it is still a part of him where his brain needs to quickly understand. Like that was the issue. It wasn't even just that they weren't healthy, because Levan, like I said, in that Seattle game, there was plenty of moments where old Dak would have taken a stupid sack or possibly fumbled, and he's got a better awareness to tuck the ball in. He's got better awareness to scamper at least upfield so that it mitigates the loss of yardage. Of course, he had a big escaped sack too. So it's nice. It's just nice to see all of it sort of coming together. We talked about Luka being a dad. Maybe Dak being a dad is saving our asses here. So it is nice. It is really nice to see because we knew we were married to the guy. But now I feel like this run has been the first time that he kind of feels like he can carry, because it's not a consistent run game, right? The receivers are great. It's not like he has a bad receiving core, but they're not like superstar, all pro dudes other than one guy for the most part, at least thus far. So at this point, it's one of those things where he kind of is carrying right now. And it's kind of fun to be like, Dak's carrying it. Like, I didn't think we'd ever get to this point, but we're here. And who knows how long he's going to keep carrying.
This is peak Dak.
But I'm hoping that at least this is the Prescott that I can live with moving forward, even if it doesn't get us to the promised land. At least I feel confident that I'm getting the most out of Dak Prescott. It's sort of the same issue I had with Romo. Once Romo started realizing that throwing the ball to the other team wasn't always the best policy.
Yeah, I'll say this in terms of just of Dak and where he is in his level of play right now. I think this is peak Dak. This is him at his apex, and if this is what you're going to get at his apex, you could do significantly worse, and there's very few that you can do better than, and that's saying a lot compared to just because we've seen the lowlights of Dak's career, we've seen the highlights, right? But there's a lot of focus on some of the boneheaded mistakes that you've mentioned, the bad sacks, the bad interceptions. Prior to last season, right? He wasn't necessarily an interception machine, but he just seemed to have some backbreaking plays that you're just like, Dak, what
if
are you
anything,
doing?
last year was sort of a blip on the radar, and maybe was him trying to do something earlier than he was ready to do it for. Maybe is another way, because a lot of it was forcing balls last year too. And he had some tip stuff, but a lot of it was bad ball placement.
bad ball placement, bad luck. Here's the thing: like a lot of interceptions come from quarterbacks being aggressive and wanting to be aggressive, and sometimes it works out. You look at Patrick Mahomes; he's an aggressive thrower, and he doesn't throw a lot of picks. But sometimes it works the other way. You look at Josh Allen; he's an aggressive thrower, and he throws a shit ton of picks, and it's consistent throughout his career. And so sometimes you'll have those seasons, especially from guys like Dak, guys like Hurts, who we'll talk about that matchup later on as well. But you'll see that. Patrick, you were gonna chime in.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what I was gonna say. I know one thing I was thinking about this week, at least with Dak, is I have him kind of slotted in that second tier, which is a great place to be. He's not Mahomes. I don't think he's Lamar. I don't think he's quite at the top of the league. But I think he's got such a high floor that you're glad you stumbled into him for a team that spent one compensatory 4th-round pick on 2 franchise quarterbacks basically over the last 20-something years. It's worked out. When he's good, he's really good, and you do worry if I'm a Cowboys fan, these are the teams he's supposed to do it against, and now you got to see what he's going to do against some better ones. But you can't complain about anything you've seen.
It's also shitty too because it's the Eagles, so it's like he's been fine with the Eagles too, even when he wasn't necessarily that proven.
No,
so it's like
the Niners.
It's the rest of this season, really. Yeah, and of course the Niners eventually.
You have to beat the Niners in the playoffs because if you're going to go to the Super Bowl, you will see them probably. So,
most likely.
Yeah, and then just for regards to the rest of their schedule, I think they're not exactly facing elite defenses. I mean, you have the Eagles who are not good on defense.
No,
you have the Lions,
well, it's
good
Buffalo,
team.
Miami,
Dolphins,
Detroit,
Buffalo,
and then
the so you have tough competition, but it's more like
Washington.
You have the Giants.
You have tough offenses you're going against. Yeah. So.
No, we've already beat the Giants twice. We beat the shit out of the Giants
it's Washington.
twice.
You still have.
The Eagles have do the Eagles have another Giants game? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah,
of?
Washington is the second.
The Eagles have
the last
2
division game.
Giants.
After
okay.
Yeah, we have 1 division game after this week.
But yeah, so basically, if you're looking at it, I don't know. I don't remember what the rundown looks like. I don't want to break too far. Is this a good spot to just transition to playoff talk, anyways?
We were going to talk about the Eagles' loss first, so I don't know if you want to skip that.
I was just going to say the way it's set up right now, where even if the Cowboys beat the Eagles next week, they still need a lot of help to get past the Eagles. Just that Cardinals loss being such a problem for them.
And we'll talk about that in the playoff portion too, just because of seeding and whatnot. But yeah, let's go ahead and transition to. As you can see at the bottom of my name, it says reaping and sowing. Hi, I'm reaping what I have sowed. The San Francisco 49ers absolutely decimated the Philadelphia Eagles 42-19.
Oops.
Vegas knew something when they made the 49ers the 3-point road favorites in this game. Where should I start? Offense. The 49ers absolutely steamrolled. The first 2 drives, it was looking all right for the Eagles. They forced 2 punts. You're thinking, all right, everything looks good. Everything feels right, except it didn't because the Philadelphia Eagles on offense produced 2 field goals in their first 2 drives. So you think on paper, hey, you're going to score on your first 2 possessions against the 49ers. You're going to be like, hell yeah, touchdowns, right? Touchdowns, right? At least 1 touchdown? No. It was 2 field goals, and that proved to not be enough because once the 49ers got rolling, Philadelphia had no answers, both on offense and on defense. They could not contain the yak monsters that were the wide receiving core for the 49ers or Christian McCaffrey. Just so you guys are aware, I don't know if you saw this statistic, the 49ers gained 212 yards after the catch. That is an insane number. Also, it should be a detriment to Brock Purdy's MVP stat.
Do you know what the depth of target? I was going to say, do you know what the depth of target was there?
Yes, Brock Purdy's average depth of target in the game was 6 yards.
Okay, I mean,
there's not
the GOAT.
Yeah, the guy was just pointing and shooting. And here's the thing:
was it a college game I was watching? Was it the Texas Tech the Oklahoma State team where it was like 0.1 yards? What can't man? There's some game in the last couple of weeks I was watching where every single pass.
I mean, honestly, Quinn gets at a lot of those too.
No, I can't remember what game it was, but it was like
routes.
literally less than a yard. It was I can't remember what it was. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. Here's the thing: Brock Purdy typically likes to throw a little bit further down into the middle of the field. The Eagles are trying to prepare for that. However, in doing so, the way that Kyle Shanahan likes to work his offense is, I'm going to find the shittiest linebacker on the field, and I'm going to put him in hell. They found Nicholas Morrow, Christian Ellis. They put him in hell for the entire game. And Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Tebow Samuel specifically, and just the whole team just absolutely took advantage of 1, soft coverages, 2, bad tackling, and 3, no pass rush. So the Eagles on offense, they couldn't get the run game going whatsoever. They average, I believe, 2.2 yards a carry. If you want to take advantage of the 49ers in any facet of the game, you want to do it via the run, because they're not necessarily big linebackers. They're fast linebackers, but they're not big. Their defensive line, great at pass rush, not necessarily the best run stuffers, right? So on paper, you would think, all right, well, the Eagles should have some sort of advantage there. They didn't. And once the 49ers got ahead, they just controlled the clock. And I believe that they had the second best offensive game in terms of EPA per drive of any team all season, meaning the Eagles had the worst defense of EPA per season of any other team. So it was bad. All the way around, it was bad. There's so many places that I can start and go to, but I'm going to give flowers to this team that I did not want to give. Kyle Shanahan came up with a great game plan. Their defensive coordinator, I believe Steve Wilkes, he had Jalen Hurts in a blender, man. I've seen arguments on both sides of, well, the Eagles' offensive line was pretty good in pass blocking, and Jalen Hurts was just holding on for the ball all the goddamn day. And then you could also be like, well, yeah, they also gave up 25 pressures, which is the most, I believe, they've given up all season. So, and he got sacked 4 times. So there really were no positives to take away from this game. And some people, if you want to make excuses, for the Eagles, 3 games in 13 days. The 49ers had 3 days of extra rest coming into this game because they played that Thursday night Thanksgiving game. You're going to be at a risk disadvantage at multiple times during the year. You got to make up for it somehow, right? I mean, this Dallas Cowboys game, again, they're going to be at a rest disadvantage. You're going to have to buckle up and find a way to get through it. They didn't. So now the 49ers are in control of their destiny, because all they have to do is win out. And I don't have a good feeling about this Eagles defense and this matchup against Dallas, which we'll talk about later. But it's not looking so hot.
Well, I would
do you want to say anything about the game?
I would just say the best thing about the game for you is that it's just a regular season game. And at least that wasn't the way your season ended. That would suck.
Yeah, no, that would have sucked. Listen, this was the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl. This was the game that they've been waiting for all year. They prepped like it was their championship, and guess what, boys? Let the confetti rain down. You did it. You beat the Eagles in the regular season. It doesn't really matter. Congrats, boys. You did it. You did it. You got the monkey off your back.
Oof.
Becky.
I mean, it was fun to watch, but yeah, I'm not taking it for anything more than what it's worth. Congratulations and welcome to the party. At the same time as it's fun to talk about how maybe next time, you also have to remember that next time means all those pass rushers and Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and Trent Williams, and you're just like, God damn it, this 49ers team is really fucking stacked.
Yeah, they're clearly the cream of the crop in the NFC. I mean, Detroit is like a maybe. They're kind of like the what if, but like...
Even if Detroit, it would still be like next year, right? The natural progression of it.
Maybe, yeah. It's just like, I don't know.
Because that Detroit defense is so bad.
I mean, they're winning games right now, so until they get creamed by San Francisco, you can't say they would until you know.
And did you mention that Filthy is like about to set like the worst record or whatever the lowest mark is for coverage on a tight end, on tight ends in general?
What does that mean?
No, because that's been like a thing every season. Like they've just been really bad at guarding tight ends. So for me, it's just another year. So it hasn't really stuck out.
That's beautiful. Well, yeah, that was some stat that that ESPN pulled out on the Eagles is that they're like, since 2006, they're the worst team at covering tight ends or some shit like that.
Because it makes sense because they haven't invested in safety like long term and linebacker long term since the early Andy Reid years. They don't draft linebackers. They don't know how to draft a safety. I mean, our best safety, Reed Blankenship, an undrafted guy out of Memphis. Memphis State? No. Middle Tennessee.
Ooh, directional.
That's
directional
the best
school.
Yeah. A directional school. In the MAC, I believe. Either the MAC or the Conference USA or some shit.
Well, if you're ready for the MAC, you're ready for anything.
I'm always ready for some action. But yeah, no, it's not surprising that they can't cover tight ends and they can't cover slot receivers. It's just how the team is built, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm very, very glad you guys didn't mention the dumb ejection because that was silly.
That whole
that just feeds into what Eagle fans want. I don't care about your Dom security dude.
Which, like, good because like I saw it, I'm like, that's funny. Didn't amount to anything. It's funny, objectively, and if you don't think it was a little like funny just in a vacuum, oh well. Either way. But yeah, that's all I really had to say on the game. I mean, there's more that I could go into, but this is not an Eagles exclusive podcast. So we're just going to move on to the playoffs, baby. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. This is the perfect time of the year to talk about playoff predictions. Now, as you probably saw last week, you saw our predictions for how the divisions were going to stack up. Clearly, we did not do a very good job about that. But, you know, whatever. Shit happens.
It's tough with the NFL. There's a lot of parity.
It is very tough. There is, and it doesn't help that there's also a lot of backup quarterbacks in the league right now who are playing and leading the charge for some of these playoff bound.
That was basically what I was the whole time, just trying to figure out what backup quarterback I could possibly trust.
Right. So I'm gonna let everybody know what the current, if the season ended today, what the current seeding would be.
It's also scrolling underneath you, so.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have it here. I'm not gonna keep up with the score.
Still say it. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. So in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles still remain the number 1 seed. The 2 seed, San Francisco 49ers. 3 seed, Detroit Lions. The 4 seed is the Atlanta Falcons. And then the rounding up the wild card seedings are going to be the 5 seed Dallas Cowboys, 6 seed Minnesota Vikings, and the 7th seed Green Bay Packers. How the hell did the NFC North go from potentially one of the worst divisions of football to having the most teams in the NFC playoffs? I don't know. Anyway, let's look over at the AFC. In the 1 seed, surprisingly, the Miami Dolphins, 9-3, haven't beat a team with a winning record, I think. But you don't need to. You just need to win as many games as you possibly can. All right, Baltimore Ravens are at the 2 seed, Kansas City 3 seed, and the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 4 seed. Rounding out the wild card is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I don't know how he does it, but Mike Tomlin, you son of a bitch, you keep doing it. I'm sick of it. The Cleveland Browns, led by Joe Flacco, Bethke's Joe Flacco in the 6th seed.
Future Hall of Famer.
And the Indianapolis Colts, based on a couple of tiebreakers, I believe, are ahead of the Houston Texans in the 7th seed. Now, will these hold up? I don't believe so. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys my predictions, and then I'm going to pass it on to you guys. And I want to see where you guys' heads are at with these predictions. As far as seeding goes in the NFC, I honestly believe the San Francisco 49ers are going to grab that 1 seed by the balls, and they're not going to let it go. I think Dallas Cowboys end up in the 2 seed, bumping down the Eagles to the 5 seed. The momentum is shifting. The Philadelphia Eagles are losing steam, and I don't think they'll be able to get it back. I think Detroit maintains itself in the 3 seed and in the 4 seed. This is the tough one, right? The NFC South is just so atrocious. You have Tampa Bay and New Orleans a game out. Ain't no way any team led by a car is gonna make the playoffs and make any noise. So Derek Carr, hey, you're not any good. Unless Jameis Winston takes over, I don't have any faith for New Orleans. Tampa Bay, they're led by Baker Mayfield, who is just showing that he is a high-level backup. Unfortunately, in the place of a starter. Can't do anything about that. Atlanta's going to bumblefuck their way to the 4 seed. They are just the worst team going into the playoffs. Now, I've already mentioned Philadelphia will be the 5 seed in this case. 6 and 7 seed. This is where things will get a little bit interesting. Because Seattle, you have the Rams, right? You have the Green Bay Packers and the Vikings. They are the 4 teams that I believe are going to be in the hunt. I don't think the NFC North goes with 3 teams in the playoffs. I think one of them is going to lose steam. It might be the Minnesota Vikings because Dobbs, man. I had hope in Dobbs. I had hope that Josh Dobbs would be able to push this team. I think he's not. He's starting to fall apart. I think Green Bay, through some devil magic that they have, finds themselves in the 6th seed. And in the 7th seed, you're going to hear it here, folks. The Los Angeles Rams sneak their way into the playoffs just to get blown out. But that's how I think that's going to happen. So far, so good. Gentlemen, do we agree, disagree with the NFC predictions? Bethke, let me hear from you first.
So I ended up going San Francisco, Filthy, Detroit, Tampa.
Oh, okay.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Going against your own preseason Atlanta prediction.
The game is the game.
Just
predictions are they don't mean anything. I don't tie them to money. I don't tie them to money, so they don't matter to me. I don't hold on to that as a point of pride. You know
just holding you accountable.
No, there is no accountability in this world. You know what I mean?
You don't think
just ignore.
You don't think the Bears? You don't think the Bears are coming back?
I think the Bears still have a shot. You know what I mean?
Steal this from the Lions.
They're not mathematically eliminated yet, so
Let's see, 8-3, and what are the Bears?
And I did pick the Philly Eagles because I do think that with the Cowboys' schedule being a little bit more difficult, I think Philly should be fine. Even if they do lose to us this week, I think they'll probably be fine, and the Cowboys will probably still have at least 1 to 2 more losses on that sheet somewhere, probably. Green Bay. Honestly, you could argue could even maybe pass Dallas if we stumble too much because Green Bay has a cakewalk to the finish line. Unless Minnesota steps in their way, it's a pretty easy way there. And then I have Seattle finishing out because I think they're just a little bit more competent than the Rams.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not a big Puka Nacua guy?
I mean, look,
just one
they've
man.
been to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They're a little more healthy. I could see the argument there. Seattle's due for a comeback to reality season, but I stayed with the Sea Chickens this time.
Yeah, all right.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just say you could really convince me either way on either team. I mean, they're not too different in terms of like the quality of play. I mean, stylistically they'll be different, of course. But you're like, hey, this offense is better than this offense. Like, yeah, I could see it either way. You know, you told me the Rams have a better offense. Okay. You told me the Seahawks have a better offense. Like, yeah, fine. They're both around the same terms defensively, at least the feeling. So I'm not mad on that one at all. No arguments on that. Pat, what do you got? What are you thinking about this NFC playoff prediction? Where are yours?
Sure. So, I think there's what do we got here? Like there's 4 teams that are pretty much separated themselves. With San Francisco probably being number 1, and then either Philly or Dallas, likely Philly, just because of the way it's set up right now. And then Detroit probably, it looks like they're going to go ahead and win their division. I could sit here and spin some yarn about how the Vikings could weasel their way through that, but I don't actually see it happening at this point without Detroit just straight up collapsing. So, which, they're prone to do, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, I've got those 4. And then honestly, I think the rest down to like Washington, all these teams are kind of miserable. So I think that New Orleans probably finds their way in. And then I think it's down between Seattle, Minnesota, Green Bay, and I'm just gonna say Minnesota, but I'm not confident in picking any of those teams.
I like that.
I don't believe any of these
Stand
teams.
by your man.
And my Giants, my NFC East winning prediction, not looking good right now. I don't think they're catching either of you guys.
I think that one's already eliminated. They may not be eliminated, but the winning the division is definitely not possible.
They're only 5 games back, right? So they're still.
I don't think they can win the division.
With 5 games to left to go.
There's 6 games to go. It's a 17-game season.
I don't think there's any scenario where they win the division.
There's not.
They could maybe win make a 7th seed.
It's mathematically possible still. There's still 6 games to go. So for some teams.
Yeah, they're.
You guys still.
Yeah,
have
they're
6?
absolutely getting their shit rocked. They're getting their shit rocked by Philly at least in one of those games.
The thought there is that the NFC is just all really close, no matter what you say. But like I said, I think those your teams, San Francisco and potentially Detroit, are a different class than the rest of us, kind of just hanging out. And then there's obviously the bottom tier of Arizona and who aren't considered teams.
No, Carolina should be already eliminated.
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're actually mathematically out.
100% eliminated. Arizona, Carolina, they're eliminated. I think Chicago, Washington, and New York, they may be like a game or two, another loss or two away from officially being eliminated. Because those teams would have to win out if they want any chance. And that's going to be difficult for any of them, considering how they played to this point and just what the level of talent is that's on their rosters right now.
No.
But yeah, gentlemen, we're gonna switch over then to the AFC to see where our heads are at. Yeah, this one's difficult, right? Because the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, they're all within a game of each other, and it's just you don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, as much as I think a Miami 1 seed would be fun to just because of that offense. Would be to just see what they can do with a home field advantage and not having to travel. I don't think they maintain the 1 seed. I think they will slip up. I think whenever they face like the Dallas Cowboys, they'll probably lose that matchup. I just have a feeling. I'll probably look into it a little bit more when we get there. I think Baltimore ends up in the 1 seed. I still think Miami will be in control of their division. I don't see them at all collapsing and Buffalo making some wild run. So I'll take them at the 2 seed. I think they're just going to switch places. Kansas City's going to stick in the 3 seed. They're just too inconsistent on offense. Despite the 8 wins, they just can't put up enough points. And that's a wild thing to say considering they probably have the best quarterback I've seen in a long time, just from a pure physical standpoint. And Patrick Mahomes, they just can't figure it out on offense, and I don't think they will. And then Jacksonville, I think if Trevor Lawrence can stay healthy, right? Like he has a high ankle sprain. He probably is going to miss this Sunday. If he can be back for the final stretch and they can hang on, then yeah, I would have them in my 4 seed. And then you look at the 5, 6, and 7. Right now, it's as constructed. It's Pittsburgh in the 5 seed. I don't think that changes whatsoever. Honestly, I hate that they're in this position. Really do. That's such a bad team in a winning playoff spot. Like I don't like that. But whatever. Cleveland. Listen, Bethke, I know you love your boy Joe Flacco there. I don't think he's enough. I think that team is going to lose steam. And who's going to take their place? I think that the AFC South, a division that I thought was going to be a joke, is going to sneak 2 teams in with Indy and Houston in the 6 and 7 seeds.
So 3 total
Cleveland,
teams?
3 total teams, yeah.
Wow. I'm stunned.
I think that's how that's going to happen. I don't think Denver's going to sneak in anybody. It's going to sneak into the playoffs there. Cincinnati, they're done. They are done. Like, Jake Browning had a great game. Kudos. You're still a backup. You were undrafted for a reason. At some point, the wheels will fall off. Buffalo, I just think they just dug themselves into too much of a hole. They have no depth on defense. It's ailing. That's hurt. Outside of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, what else can they do on offense consistently? Nothing, really. And yeah, I'm just not sold on these other teams. So that's my prediction for the AFC South. Let me hear your guys. Bethany, we'll go back to you. What do you think of here?
I had we're agreement on the first three: Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City. I am going with
All right.
the Gardner Minshew Indianapolis Colts to win that division.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a wild one.
I like it, though.
But okay, I like it.
And then my fifth seed.
Somebody needs to come with spikes.
My fifth seed. Look, it didn't get off to a winning start, but it got off to a hot start and a good start. And it's time for some good positive news with a couple of superstars on defense. And Joe Flacco is going to get the 5 seed with the Cleveland Browns.
All right.
Boom. And then in the 6th seed, I think Josh Allen and the Bumblefuck Bills are going to bumblefuck their way into the playoffs, even if they're a shitty team or a mediocre team. I actually think that when I'm thinking of the Cowboys' finish of the season, I think they'll beat Miami and Washington for sure. And I only say Miami because I do wonder if Miami's been tested enough, even though I'm terrified of what their receiving core could do to my defense. I just feel like that's probably leans us, but I do worry more about that Buffalo game because of how hungry that team is going to be. And the Lions because they need to close the division out. But anyway, Buffalo's my 6th seed. And then my 7th seed, you could argue that this is serious. And if it comes to fruition, I'll say it was. And if it isn't, I'll say it's the kibosh that I'm trying to do. But the Denver Broncos are my 7th seed. Broncos country. That's right.
We call that sandbagging.
God damn. Oh my god. Oh, that was. Wait, so you have the Steelers out entirely then, right?
Yeah, dude. Fuck Mitch Trubisky, bro. I'm tired of watching the Steelers. I'm rooting against it, bro. No, I think Kenny Pickett's out again this week. I think it's Trubisky. Yeah.
He's out for the season, I think. He got surgery.
Yeah, it's Trubisky the whole way, bro. I got to ride Trubisky. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
It's Trubisky time.
Rough.
I don't know. What if he turns it around for them? Oh, anyway.
Listen,
yeah.
I wish I had a laughter button ready.
I saw Mike Tomlin take a team led by Duck Hodges to the playoffs. Like,
you're right.
They're
You're right. That's quite right. Well, I tried to put the kibosh.
What do you got for us?
It didn't work.
Yeah, I think pretty much at the top we're mostly in lockstep. I think Baltimore. Baltimore, Miami, KC. I think Jacksonville stumbles into the 4, winning that division. I also think Cleveland's probably going to be your 5. As funny as that is, I think Flacco might just stumble his way into the dumbest Super Bowl that we've ever seen for a quarterback outside of like Trent Dilfer.
God.
I could see it, or he comes in and just gets broken the first time he gets hit. So we'll see what happens.
He already got hit. It's fine.
It is a different NFL nowadays. They don't really get hit.
He could let it rip.
Yeah.
He had the best game of any Cleveland Browns quarterback all year, and he had 1 week of practice.
It's not saying much.
No, that's the thing.
Then I think
the bar was so low in Cleveland that he exceeded it.
It's been that,
but just showing up.
That 15's getting retired, buddy.
That's what that whole franchise is. It's just a low bar.
Yeah.
That Flacco's about to step over.
And then I think Houston probably gets your 6.
I was torn on Houston.
I don't know with Tank Dell out, but I'm just gonna go ahead and try to give CJ Stroud some good positive energy because he seems awesome.
I would love to see him in the playoffs.
Your final slot's probably going to have to go to the Colts, right? Unless the Bills figure something out. But I think the Colts actually look better. So yeah, that's kind of it. A little boring, but that's where I got.
Yeah, I don't know who I had down for coach of the year, but if I had
1 sec.
the Colts head coach, then fuck yeah, because if they make it to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew,
I feel like you did.
Hell yeah,
you had
I got one
No,
right.
no, we both get them wrong, and then you got yours.
Nah,
right,
I had Saleh, or no, you had Beth. You had Saleh. I had McDaniel, and I think you had.
No, I think Caesar was also
Colts guy.
Here, I thought that we
both
right did a goofy
yeah.
one.
No, he's got Colts coach.
Nice.
I got McDaniel.
If he makes the playoffs, my propaganda worked, maybe.
Maybe. I think.
Oh, I miss Shane Steichen so much.
I think for sure, my guy.
Yeah, I think McDaniel's probably the leader in the clubhouse there this year. But Robert Saleh, close second, I think. Once everything's done, there's still another. Zach Wilson 2.0.
I do think we should take a vote on which of our predictions is the worst overall prediction. Probably my Giants division winning one, but we'll see.
I tried to get better than that, but you definitely. Technically, they're doing better at trying to win that division than the Bears.
They're 4-8.
The Bears were in a more open division theoretically.
The Giants are 4-8.
Like the Giants.
They're only 5 games back of the division. Come on. If this were baseball, you could do that in a week.
True. Unfortunately, wrong sport. All right. Well, that does it for our playoff predictions. Unless you gentlemen want to get into how you think the playoffs will play out, but I think that's better saved for when we actually get to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Because we're probably wrong on this. Like, I'm probably just as wrong on this as I've been on a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's like a March Madness bracket where your winner loses in the first or second round. It's like, I just might as well not have this bracket then.
Right? All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our favorite segment, the Watch It, Skip It, Train Wreck.
Train wreck.
All right, gentlemen, there's a lot of good quality games to pick from this week, unlike last week. So, for the Watch It, these are our options that I'm going to present to you, fellas. All right, in the first thing that I have written down here, Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, they put on banger games against each other all the time, it feels like. This is a must-win for the Buffalo Bills. For Kansas City, this is a prove-it game. Like, hey, are you guys actually serious about contending? Because if you are, then you are going to put your foot down on this team that is struggling, right? You got Mahomes, you got Josh Allen. Like, the potential for fireworks is there for a high-quality game. There's also potential for a low-quality game based on their more recent performances, but I am going to take the upside to this game. Next up, in the Sunday Night Football spot, it is the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. That first game was really good. High-quality game. There is a lot of talent all over the field, in the trenches, in the skill positions. There is lots to love about this potential matchup. And then, the San Francisco 49ers against their hated division rivals, Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, very similar to the Buffalo Bills in that they're desperate. They need to win this game if they want to be able to be in the playoffs. San Francisco coming off their biggest game of the year. In a spot for an emotional letdown. Probably not going to happen, though, because they have an emotionless robot at head coach who's probably going to get them right for this game. But potential for fireworks is there if Geno Smith can tap into whatever he tapped into against the Dallas Cowboys, because you still have DK Metcalf, you still have Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, you have weapons there. Gentlemen, who do you believe that our audience should dedicate their Sunday to in the most watch portion? Becky, lead us on.
Well, statistically, we always know they're going to go towards the Cowboys anyway. So,
especially
Buffalo, Kansas City. Yes, especially. So, but Buffalo, Kansas City is my choice.
Fair enough. Patrick, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I do think it's a toss-up between the Buffalo Kansas City and the Cowboy Eagle game. I think the problem you run into with the Chiefs, though, and maybe even with the 49ers against the Seahawks, is the same thing of watching the Warriors, where it's like, right, well, they're just not going to try that hard right now. But I do think Cowboys Eagles, because that is such a heated rivalry, anyways, and it's such a big game for standings and seedings and all that. I think that just generally makes that the best game to watch, probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised
like
if
that
it's the most watched regular season game of the year up to this point.
Very likely will be. Very likely.
Probably.
It's
Sunday night game.
Is it Sunday night? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Sunday night game, so it's the island game of the night. Yeah, on this one, my bias might be showing when I say this, but I think it's gonna be Buffalo, Kansas City, is my most watched game for this one. I just think it's two of the most talented quarterbacks the NFL has to offer. One of them has been playing like Superman all year. The other one, as much as he's tried to be Superman, his wide receiving core just keeps letting him down.
He's been Bizarro Superman.
Bizarro Superman. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I just feel like this game means so much more to Buffalo than anything else. As in terms of Dallas, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle.
Yeah,
that they are going to come out and give everything that they got, and I think that desperation can lead to fireworks. You know, so that's why I would put that in the must-watch game. Also, just because I don't feel like I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be watch-worthy material if you're a fan of them or whatever. But
at least your coach didn't have surgery today.
No, but you know,
it's a minor procedure.
Yeah, but he's missing out on
just
the most important prep of the week.
What if it's really just a tummy tuck?
That'd be funny.
That's gonna change.
He just obviously comes back like 200 pounds lighter. And nope, just got the appendix out.
He's like the same figure as Nick Sirianni. You're just well, they're both tall.
He looks like that the Peter Griffin when he gets skinny, but they've got just all those clothespins holding his skin up behind him.
Isn't that Homer Simpson?
Remember how weird Rex Ryan
Probably
was
both.
looking for a second there?
Yeah.
We're all offensive linemen as soon as they retire.
Yeah, or fat bastard at the end of Goldmember.
Exactly. That's really the most iconic and important.
True.
I left the rosebud in there for you.
Oh my god, that's a good one. All right, now I think we have finished the watch it portion. The skip it, gentlemen. There is so much that can be skipped, and you know what? Here are the candidates: the NFC South as an entire division, and all of Monday Night Football. Both games. People at home watching this, don't waste your time with any of those games.
You don't want to stay up late on a Monday night watching Green Bay at New York?
At the Giants? No. That
game could be short.
Short? Okay. It's still not worth your time. You could do so much on a Monday night instead of watching that game. Now, if you're a Packers fan, of course, watch it. Jordan Love has been on a heater these last 3 games. You want to continue to see his progress? Perfect. Everybody else at home, don't waste your time. I couldn't narrow it down. I just had to leave it this way. Unless you guys have a very specific game that you feel is the most skippable thing of all time. I think this is the best way.
The entire New England Patriots season.
That is a good one.
Unless you're just really into watching him lose. Some people are.
Yeah. Oh, it is the Thursday night game. And people don't watch that they're not gonna want to watch that game anyway. It's Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh at the Patriots, I think.
New England
and I don't know if you guys. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this with the promotional work or the promotional art.
Bit.
It has JJ. Yeah, it's TJ Watt, right? And then they couldn't pick a Pats player, so they just put Bill Belichick.
Well, they don't know. They don't know which quarterback's going out there. You've never heard of anyone else on the team.
I'm like, that's such a diss to, I don't know, Matt Judon. I don't know if Matthew Judon's actually healthy.
Exactly.
Actually, listen. The Patriots have been so bad, which I've been praying on their downfall for a long time. But
We
man,
finally got it. Yep.
So I'm
Not
saying
like this.
This is how it was always
was-
going to
it
be
was-
eventually. But he could still. I mean, he could still turn it around in the next 2 or 3 years. Who knows? But this was going
Caleb
to happen
Williams.
at some point.
the way that he constructs offenses and defenses, I don't think so.
No,
Well,
I mean,
defenses,
yeah,
he's actually really good at that.
He needs to make some. He needs to make some adjustments, but if he really
like
wanted
not hire
to, I
your
think
friends to be your
if
coordinators.
he really wanted to, I think he could figure it out. But I think he might also just be tired. He's getting old.
No, but he wants that Don Shula record so bad. And if he really wanted that record, he would not have these shitty offensive coordinators that used to be on his staff in the past. So neither here nor there, gentlemen. Unless you have something that you want to add to the skip it, or you want to do a specific game, we can move on to the train wreck. Patrick?
Train wreck.
I mean, I have no real interest in watching Tampa Bay at Atlanta, but
Or New Orleans at Carolina.
That is for the division, so that
Yeah.
that is kind of the division lead there.
Yeah, but it's such bad football teams. They're just not good.
Technically means something.
I also
Arthur
think
Smith is not.
I also think
does not love
if I
his
weren't a
team.
Vikings fan, I'd say Vikings Raiders is a very skippable game as well. So
Listen, I couldn't put that on there just for the sole fact that maybe Josh Dobbs forgets his.
I don't even know if
his
he's
teammates'
playing.
names?
I don't even know if he's playing.
Oh,
this
he's
week.
starting. Oh yeah, he is. I saw it on ESPN earlier today.
God,
The team has committed him as the starter for the remainder of the year. So
that's not a good
we'll
sign.
see.
Not a good sign for those other guys in practice.
Listen, as long as Josh Dobbs forgets their names, maybe he'll get his superpowers back.
They should just swap jerseys. You remember in was it D2 when they couldn't get Keenan open for a shot because he kept getting marked. So then
They switched him with Goldberg.
They put him in a goalie in the wrong uniform. Totally illegal in every sport ever. And it worked. He got the knuckle puck.
It worked. Oh, the knuckle puck.
Knuckle
well,
puck's
that's great. That's a
one
good
of
callback.
the knuckle puck. The knuckle puck might be the reason that I'm just completely crazy person. Because I'm like, if that could work, what else could I achieve?
Fair enough.
And it doesn't work. It's a great idea.
Shocking.
Disney story.
Shocking, like the flying V doesn't work either.
Or did you ever see the Disney Channel original Alley Cat Strike, the bowling one? Where to get
no.
to
Oh
get-
wait, yes, I did.
to get the
Yes, I did. When they
7-10
did the little
split, he like puts the
Yeah.
ball down and just spins it on his finger,
spins it real slow.
and then just
And then just-
pushes it down, so that they
Yes, I remember that
so that
scene.
they can milk that movie to 90 minutes of screen time of that thing slowly going down the lane. Sorry. All right.
I've tried that.
Jeez.
I've
It
tried that in
doesn't-
real
yeah,
life.
It doesn't
It's
work,
never
obviously.
No, obviously. All right, let's. Before this segment derails into a train wreck, let's talk about train wrecks, shall we? Colts, Bengals, Jags, Browns are my options for you, gentlemen. All right. Now you might be thinking, hey, these are some interesting matchups here. Except this is the potential backup QB bowl. Therefore, with every backup quarterback, there is the high likelihood of train wreck play. The Colts, they're wheeling out Gardner Minshew. Listen, Minshew Mania died a long time ago. This guy, he'll throw multiple picks at you every game. Whether you make that catch or not as a defensive back, that's on you. But he's going to let you have that opportunity. Because the man plays like he thinks he has a strong arm and fast legs, but he doesn't. And that adds to his charm in some instances, but in others, it just drives you fucking crazy. And then you have Jake Browning of the Bengals coming off a great Monday Night Football performance. But here's the thing. Jake Browning, you're still a backup quarterback. You're still a guy who, let's be real, like, you went undrafted for a reason. Sometimes scouts miss, but a lot of the times on the undrafted free agents, they don't. So we'll see with you. I don't have any faith that these guys are going to put up a great game, but I think it'll be entertaining to watch. see how bad it goes. Same goes with Jags Browns, because if the Jags throw out C.J. Beathard and the Browns roll out the ghost of Joe Flacco, who's still technically alive, anything could happen. Joe Flacco could look like 2012 Baltimore Ravens Joe Flacco. If you're Bethke, that's kind of your hope. But otherwise, I don't. Which, if it does happen, it'll be a different type of train wreck. Like, wow, man, this is like, it's like a tire fire, right? And then it rolls into like a box filled with fucking fireworks, and it just explodes in this massive glowing light show. That's the type of firework train wreck thing that I see the Joe Flacco being if he hits for the Browns. Gentlemen, what do you think should be our pick for train wreck? Colts Bengals, Jags Browns. Patrick, I'll let you lead this one off. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think you got a pretty good idea of it there. I think Colts Bengals is a pretty good choice. Just because the Bengals are kind of gross to watch. Just all year they've been gross to watch. And then Jags Browns again. Yeah, could potentially be really bad when the Joe Flacco story ends a couple snaps into that game. So we'll see.
No, I very much disagree with the notion that the Browns are not watchable. In fact, they're on the path for a Super Bowl. So it's just an oxymoron.
I'm saying it'll be a train wreck when he gets something snapped or twisted in half.
But I'm saying that's not going to happen.
When his Walker loses the tennis balls underneath it and he slips on the turf.
See, you guys aren't seeing the vision. Because
look, I predicted he's going to win the playoff. Get the playoffs.
The true train wreck is not one of the two games.
Oh,
you have to think about what is the biggest way for a train wreck to happen. You have to have all these things come into play, right?
Right.
You have to have multiple factors. There's not as many multiple factors in these other two games. There's wiggle room in those other two games.
All right.
But there is a game that has the potential to either go very chalk and be boring and nothing, or it gets to be the biggest train wreck of the week by a mile. It's Carolina going into New Orleans. And let me tell you why. Because David Duke Carr's little brother, I just needed to say that that's his actual name, allegedly. Can you actually look that up? Because I don't know if the internet's fucking. Because they're fucking with me. That's a great one. Fucking great one. But anyway, I think Derek Carr is on the hot seat.
David Duke Carr, correct.
That is amazing.
Beautiful.
I think he's on the hot seat. I think the people in New Orleans will fucking riot if they lose to the Panthers at home in a winnable division game, in a winnable division. And I think they all want Jameis. Even if it's not the better option, I think at this point they just want Jameis because of his personality. And that's why it's my train wreck. I think the people of New Orleans might riot given the results of the game. Or it might just be we won the game, we're in the division lead, Derek Carr's okay for another week. Sure. But I propose that it's going to be a train wreck. I propose that the Panthers are going to beat the Saints.
All right. I'll take it. I'll accept that one. Well, there you go, everybody. That's our train wreck picks of the Watch It, Skip It train wreck. And now, let's move on to the previewing of this week's games. Up first, the Minnesota Vikings at the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know how to get hype this game up other than, it's the Vikings are in the hunt for the playoffs. Football, right? The Raiders, bad team. Vikings, slightly better team. Here we go. This is me trying to be serious. On this game, the Minnesota Vikings do have some advantages, specifically on the offensive end. Listen, I know Josh Dobbs' last couple games may not have been really pretty, but what he offers to an offense is a higher floor because of what he's able to do with his legs, right? Mobile quarterbacks just raise the floor of your offense. Not necessarily raise the ceiling, but raise the floor. You can threaten the Raiders pretty much through the air on the ground. He has an advantage in this game, in my opinion. Can his receivers make the plays? Can he get the ball to the receivers so they can make the plays? We'll see, but I just don't see where the Raiders have any discernible advantage, other than, I don't know. They have a cooler. Their defensive end is really cool. Max Crosby.
They've
about
managed
it.
to win 5 games somehow. So
Somehow, some way, like, I just don't see where they would have any advantage. When you talk about from a coaching standpoint, Kevin O'Connell is going to coach circles around the Raiders. When you look at offense and defense, I just think that, hey, Brian Flores has been a godsend to the Vikings. He's going to put Aiden O'Connell in hell with the amount of blitz pressure that he's going to face. I just don't see where it works
until the
for
last
the
drive
Raiders.
of the game.
If they even are in a position again the last drive of the game, because honestly, I don't think the Raiders have enough on offense. Yeah, they have Devontae Adams, and that's it.
You're missing the important factor though, is the opponent. And
I'm taking into account the Minnesota
games.
Vikings. Listen, I'm taking into account the Minnesota Vikings. I genuinely believe that they are better in almost every facet to the Raiders. So I think the Vikings win this game. I don't think it's a pretty game, but I think it's 21. Let's say 21-12 is the final score in this game. And yeah, Bethke, we'll let you hit second on this one, so Patrick can give us his thoughts on his team.
I got Raiders winning 16-14.
Ooh, okay. Got him with a slight upset.
There's no reason for that other than just fuck it.
Chaos. Fuck it. All right. Fuck it.
Fair
Beautiful.
enough. We're coming off a bye week, so that's probably bodes well. So that might stretch us into a 2-score victory of like 24-14, something in that range. But really, I have no idea what to expect. The Vikings have lost a bunch of dumb games because of turnovers, and if that keeps up, then they'll likely lose again. So try not to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times.
I don't even know who the fucking quarterback of the Raiders is right now.
Mariota?
Aiden O'Connell.
No, that's almost the
Aiden
quarterback of the
O'Connell.
Eagles. Right.
Yeah, that Mariota
I was
is our
just-
backup quarterback.
Just throwing
is
a name out.
Aiden
I had no
O'Connell.
idea who it was.
Aiden O'Connell. Right, I remember. Okay, fair enough.
But really, we should
good
spend
luck,
more.
Aiden O'Connell.
We should spend more time discussing the more interesting game. So
Yes. And then here we go, fellas. We are talking Sunday Night Football. It is the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to right here, Dallas, Texas, to face the Dallas Cowboys. And then they take a drive up, I-30 or whatever freeway it takes them to Arlington, Texas. Anyway, gentlemen, this is the game that many have been waiting for. I am not excited for this game, and I'll tell you why. All right, so first and foremost, the Philadelphia Eagles, as you know, come off an absolute ass-kicking of epic proportions at the hands of the 49ers. Now, to a lot, this may seem like a game where the Philadelphia Eagles want redemption. They want to prove that they are indeed the class of the NFC, top of the class of the NFC, that what happened in San Francisco was a one-off game. It was a bad game. They're tired. San Francisco's coming off extra rest in the mini-bye. Here's the thing. Philadelphia is going to come into this game exhausted because they just played against a physical team that really beats you up, and they're playing against a division rival who always plays them tough, who has had their number in 7 of the last 10 games, I believe. Yeah, I believe the Eagles are 3-7 against the Cowboys. Here's the thing: the Cowboys also are coming off a mini bye. This is the end of their brutal stretch of games, and if I'm looking at this offense, defense, right, special teams, Dallas Cowboys, they have the advantage against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. You look at the linebacking situation. They had to go and get Shaq Leonard, who he was cut for a reason. All right. We all know that his reputation from 2018 to about 2021 is he is one of the best linebackers. Him, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, those guys were the cream of the crop of linebacking play. But Shaq Leonard had 2 back surgeries, and I think in the span of 5 months, really debilitated his level of play. And in Indianapolis this year, he was not a factor in their sub packages. He was always taken off the field in obvious pass downs. He was only there for obvious rundowns. That doesn't sound great. He's going to play immediately. And here's the thing. The Dallas Cowboys, they know how to take advantage of this Philadelphia Eagles defense because they're going to stick CeeDee Lamb right in the slot, and he is going to run all over the linebackers, all over the safeties. They have no answers. This is not a team that plays man defense. They're not going to put James Bradbury or Darius Slay on Lamb often. They will stick to their sides of the field, and if he happens to be on that side, that's who's going to cover him. That's not a great formula, especially considering how good he has been this season. You look at the tight end situation. Jake Ferguson's been really good, I think. He's going to love playing against these linebackers again. I believe he had a really good game the first matchup. Bethke, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he did that. He had a good game.
He had a good game, but, I mean, last week, Ferguson probably skyrocketed in the hearts of Cowboys Nation.
And it's only going to keep climbing. And then I'm looking at Dak. Dak, well, actually, no, before we get to the QB play on this one, I'm looking at the last matchup between these two teams in the trenches. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line stymied the Eagles defensive line. I looked back at some of the tape, and there was multiple plays where I'm seeing Jalen Carter get shoved to the ground. I am seeing Josh Sweat unable to turn the corner. Same for Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, whatnot. I mean, yes, Hassan Reddick did get one key sack when they needed it the most, but before that, he was quiet all game. They were quiet all game. This Dallas Cowboys offensive line has steadily improved from the start of the season to this point. This defensive line is tired. All right. They do not have a lot of depth at the edge. Rather, they don't play their depth positions. They don't play Brandon Graham and Noah Smith a whole ton. Josh Sweat has already eclipsed his total of snaps from last season, which is around 560. He has now played 600 snaps, and we still have plenty of season left to go. So he is going to be running on steam just like everybody else on that defense. Now, let's look at the other side of the ball, right? Eagles offense, Cowboys defense. There should be some sort of advantage in the trenches for the Eagles in the run game. Not necessarily in pass protection, but in the run game, there should be an advantage. Dallas's defensive line is a penetrating front. They like to get upfield, right? They are smaller, faster, but they can be susceptible to larger offensive lines and power run schemes. The Eagles do not have a power run scheme. They do not play with their hands in the dirt. It's a lot of shotgun. Jalen Hurts has not been the runner that he has been in the past, therefore making shotgun runs really hard on guys like DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell. So if they can figure out their run scheme, their run plays, they can play keep away against this Dallas front. But will they? That remains to be seen. You look at the wide receiver versus the corner situation. I think the Eagles do have a bit of an advantage against their corners. AJ Brown, big, physical, fast. He's going to give trouble to Deron Bland. And then you look at Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith really gets up for these Dallas Cowboys games. But here's the thing. Now you're going to look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the slowest time to throw in the league. He is holding on to the ball for too long, right? And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Eagles' offensive schemes, not very creative. It's really a lot of slants, go routes, and if those aren't open, Jalen Hurts is holding on to the ball for too long, trying to find something. And here's the thing. Micah Parsons, he's a dangerous man. DeMarcus Lawrence loves to play against the Eagles. He's a dangerous man. This team, that front, they're going to make it hell for Hurts if he holds on for the ball too long. And I don't think he'll be able to take advantage of the matchup in this game. But I'll see if I'm wrong on that one. Dallas Goedert does rejoin the Eagles this week. So he does make a bit of a difference for Jalen Hurts. He is the safety, or the safety outlet for when things aren't happening down the field. And his completion percentage, I just saw this stat earlier today. The last 3 games prior to his injury, he was over 70% in each game that he had Dallas Goedert. In the games that Dallas Goedert missed, he hit 60% once. So that lets you know just how valuable he is to the offense. So maybe that'll help. He definitely helps in the run block. But if I'm just looking across the board, I see that Dallas has a lot of advantages. They played the Eagles tough that first matchup, and you could argue that they should have won that game. Things did not go well, obviously late in the game, and the Eagles were able to capitalize. I think this game, my prediction, fellas, Dallas Cowboys take care of business. They are going to make not easy work, but it's going to look easy work in the box score of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm predicting a game where the Dallas Cowboys score about 35 points, Philadelphia 21. Bethke, Patrick, I don't know which one of you wants to go next. How you guys want to end this? I think, you know what? I think it's appropriate that Bethke ends this one, since this is both our teams. So, Patrick, we're going to put you in this sandwich right here.
Good sandwich, Patrick.
I'm back.
What are you thinking?
It should be fun. I don't know that though. I don't. Whatever my prediction is for this game, I don't know that there's a clear better team of these two. I think that's kind of an any given Sunday thing. I think they're really close. Just because they have strengths in different areas. But I think that this week and with the way things are going, I think the Cowboys probably get this one with the extra time to prepare and everything. And it'll be home. They're good at home. But I don't think
they got a real home field advantage this year.
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily means anything for future matchups. But I think that this week the Cowboys handle their business and go out and do what they need to do to at least try to get the division. And that's I think that'll show.
And one last thing to add before we pass it to Bethke, sorry to interrupt. But the Eagles have not won in Dallas since 2017. So it's been a long time, and I think that trend is going to continue.
Yeah, that's tough. That's one a year.
Nope.
But yeah,
Yep.
I'll go ahead and let Bethke offer his opinion.
Let him dunk on this one.
I would say that feels like it reinforces part of what I was going to come into here. So there's a couple of streaks. We're talking about a winning streak. We're talking about the whatever you were talking about, 3 out of 7, whatever the last however many years of matchups, and now you're talking about since 2017. Streaks always come to an end. You know what I mean? And this one kind of has a little bit of a streak ending vibe to it. I felt that way once we squeaked out Seattle, because it felt like Seattle was going to break that streak and then maybe not make me worry about it as much. Now that streak's haunting me a little bit. Dude, that's stupid, irrational fan stuff. That's stuff the players aren't allegedly supposed to ever care or think about. That's just stuff we think about. So I do think that matters a little bit. I think the Eagles have to play with some pride after they got their ass beat. So I don't think that even if the Cowboys' victory is certain, I don't think it's going to be too much of a blowout. I mean, unless I'm really, really, really about to get my way with the Eagles collapse, I still think that this is a team that's built for the regular season and that is suspect for the postseason. You know what I mean? So I do kind of lean still Philadelphia because I don't trust the penalties for the Cowboys here. It's not just the referees, although they're not helping. The offsides penalty is hilariously consistent this whole season, start to finish. It's the one thing about the Cowboys that hasn't changed.
Quick,
and
I don't know if you can hear me.
I think a lot of the
quick note on those offsides for the Cowboys. I think like something like a high percentage of them not. It's not like jumping offsides. It's just lining up in the neutral zone. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. That is a perfect point to bring up because it's so consistent. It's one of those things where I see how serious the Mike McCarthy football era has been, but then there's just the penalties things. There's these all like Jerron Curse. Like we fucking love this dude, but good Lord, he is at least good for one play a game where he either is going to get called for an excessive hit play or he should have gotten called for it and didn't. Like, dude is just certainly going to be a part of that. That's interesting to look at. Terrence Steele will probably be the biggest Cowboy that everyone's looking at this week because he was such a negative part of the first matchup in this rivalry. So it would be fun to see him have a redemption game, if nothing else. And then most importantly, this Cowboys team has not really proven to me that they can run the football consistently. And I do worry about how long we're going to be able to pull off just a Dak-centric offense with W.
So to your point on the run game, and I'm glad you actually mentioned that because I forgot to mention this for the Eagles. So in the last 3 games the Philadelphia Eagles have played, they have allowed 140 yards of rushing offense on average in each of the last 3 games. Prior to that, they hadn't allowed anything close to it. I believe they were having the best run defense. So they're at the point of the year where I think they're starting to get worn down in the middle of that defense. A run game might be possible for the Dallas Cowboys in this game. Just looking at how they've played, the tackle's gotten sloppier and sloppier. So it might work out in the Cowboys' favor if they commit to the run.
I feel that. Yeah, and it would be fun to see. It hasn't been the worst running attack ever. I don't really hate it if Dak has truly ascended. But at the same time, I do worry about just not being able to go to it consistently enough. I still feel really confident in the team this whole season. I just feel like it's pretty possible to me that the Philadelphia Eagles take both games in the regular season, which as a fan, I kind of like going into a potential third game in the playoffs, because that doesn't usually bode as well when it's 2 good teams. When it's a shitty team playing another shitty. I think the Patriots probably did that to the Jets a few times, or whatever shitty NFC or AFC East team would have scraped into the playoffs. But like when it's 2 good teams and one team takes both of them in the regular season, I usually end up liking the advantage for the team that lost both those games. So part of me wants to do all that fan shit. But just to keep it into this week, I think the Cowboys lose. But I don't think it'll be by anything crazy. I think it'll sort of be the same issues that they've been struggling with on the better teams. And I think that that's not the worst case scenario for the team. I just think that realistically, there's a lot of trends that have been going our favor a little too much. And I think there's some skating by that's been going on. And then you get to sprinkle the Mike McCarthy weirdness into this week. I just feel like that's a perfect recipe for a loss. And as much as I want to rip on the Eagles, I can't possibly think that they're going to rebound from that with another bad game. You know what I mean? And I think that if they play competent, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from on that one. From my point of view, I just see everything that's happened the last couple of weeks, and really just big picture throughout the season. There's been a lot of, yes, the Eagles are 10-2, right? Best record in the league, but a lot of those games for me have not felt comfortable because there's never been a game where all sides of the team are firing all at once, right? The offense has been good. The defense has been bad. Defense has been good. The offense has been bad. Special teams up and down throughout that entire roller coaster, and yet they've squeaked out wins. And I'm getting to this point now personally where I'm like, all right, this team, I think they're just running out of steam, just in general, from a schematic standpoint. I think Nick Sirianni, he has whatever system that he has constructed on offense, whatever philosophies he has on offense, I think he's reached its apex, and it's a time for some changes on that one. Defensively, it's an old team. I just heard this earlier today, and I don't know why I didn't think about it, but 4 of their 5 starting secondary players are all 30 or older. Darius Slade, 33. James Bradbury, 30. Kevin Byard, 30. Right? Bradley Roby. I think he's 31. So you have 4 people in the secondary over 30. You look at the linebacking core. I mean, not old, but I mean, Shaq Leonard now is kind of old when you consider the surgery and the wear and tear on his body.
Isn't the guy he's replacing? Wasn't he a starter last week?
Oh yeah, he got waived. Yeah, he got waived.
Not a great sign.
To make room for him. No, not a great sign. And then you have Brandon Graham, 34, 35. Fletcher Cox is like 33, I believe. So it's a lot of old guys on that team late in the season. I just I don't see where they get a second wind. And I think this is part of the schedule where I believe whatever demons the Cowboys had from that first game, this is a great spot to exercise them. I think Philadelphia might had a bounce back against Seattle, and then they have an easy schedule. I just don't think this is the bounce back game, although I could see where there is bounce back potential because, again, it is a rivalry game, right? You get up for these games. It's divisional. A lot of seeding implications. So I could see where they could win. I just don't think they will personally.
Like I said, for me, it's all just the superstition of streaks and the knowledge that all streaks must come to an end at some point. And there's 3 really dominant streaks for the Cowboys, and it's going to have to come to an end.
I get it. I mean, Jalen Hurts had a streak of, I think, 14 straight wins against teams with winning records, and then that came to a screeching halt against the Niners. So I get it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then those things are just fun at a later date to bring up. Never something that matters that much in the moment anyway.
Yeah.
Very true. Yes, sir. Well, with all of that, that concludes the football portion of today's episode. Patrick, I'm going to toss the rock back to you so you can close this baby out.
Thanks. Wow. What a great guy. It's been fun. We got some good games left. We're about 1/3 of the season to go in the NFL. So as far as the regular season goes, it's crunch, nut cutting, all that time. One thing we should point out that we didn't point out in the playoff prediction stuff that I forgot to mention is that in the month of December, Matt LaFleur has never lost a game as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. So that's something to look out for as they make their run. As I try to just put out all the good energy I can for my team to at least have a respectable year of squeaking in and getting bounced by someone like, I don't even know who we would play at this point. I kind of forgot how all that works. Anyways, fun stuff. Do you guys have any parting words of wisdom for the world?
No parting words of wisdom, but I will be out next week. Next week, because your boy's being dragged to a bunch of shows to celebrate going 3-1, baby.
Celebrate what?
Celebrating the big 3-1.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
We'll go out there and party and drink responsibly and smoke crack responsibly and wear condoms when being with high-end escorts
or low-end escort. No matter what escorts.
Any escort. I'm sure you can find. I know that you're an Eagles fan, but I think Jerry has some of his favorite places listed, so you can utilize that resource.
Is backpages.com still a thing?
I don't know.
All right. Well, like, subscribe, blah, 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 Cowboys, Lakers, blah, 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 Tom Brady,
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Later, y'all.
Later.
What the rock is cooking.